Hey peeps, this was just sort of started as a randomly ramble thingy where I was just talking to myself, not recording, about this sort of thing, and I thought, the way I'm wording this is just so good I might as well just talk about it anyway. So, especially given like I keep seeing it in every community I'm in, it's kinda getting a bit bothersome. So let's start with the source of my concern anyway, especially given like this isn't anything new, but it's something that really needs to be addressed, especially given like most of the people on the internet now are actually quite young in terms of experience and in terms of really uh, dealing with these sorts of things. I mean, there's going to be those types of people, but I might as well help clear up the slack. So, the source of my concern, I've been thinking about this ever since I saw a comment on one of my videos earlier in 2017. It was the world premiere Splatfest. For the one or two people that aren't aware, Nintendo, before the release of Splatoon 2, held a event, held a test fire of sorts, but the test fire was an official pre-release Splatfest, which you choose between two sides, and those sides fight it out for each other in a turf war. I mean, there's probably like one or two people that isn't aware of Splatfest, but pre-release Splatfest didn't occur until that day in July 2017. Shortly after the direct was finished, I guess. So I recorded it because it was a 4-hour event, and I can typically get up to Queen within 4 hours. If it's usually longer, that usually means my team's gonna lose. Anyway, 4 hours I spent recording, and the results are on my YouTube channel. I played that day. During that time, a friend of mine named Sky Mashiro. I don't know if they're particularly like popular or anything, like if many people know who they are, but I'm just gonna reference names by who I've talked to. So Sky Mashiro at the time had a Discord server. I'm just gonna use the word had because a whole bunch of things happened. I'm not gonna reference it, but I'm just gonna reference the state of what happened. So Sky Mashiro had a Discord server, and shortly before E3 2017, they asked me if I wanted to join their Discord server, and I agreed. I didn't really have any Discord servers at the time. Owning Discord, I only really had contact in a call, like in frequent calls with one individual at the time, who I still have contact with, but we don't talk as much. So I'm not really talking to anyone at the moment, and it might give me something to do for the next couple months. So I agreed, and I joined the server. Now this doesn't have anything to do with server issues. I'm just mentioning like this is how I got there in the first place. So I joined the server, and then like the direct happened, and E3 happened, and all of that stuff and everything. In the server, there were quite a few people who in the community, like, you see people in the Splatoon, Steam, Gmod, SFM community who are all like, people consistently make these group pictures where all of everyone's as Inkling avatars for the people who are like, why aren't you saying ink sonar? I refuse to use that term, and I have explained why on my DeviantArt. So for the purposes of this video, ink sonar is going to be replaced by ink Inkling avatar or anything of the like, because I absolutely refuse to use that word under any circumstance. So, like, people make all these pictures with everyone's Inkling avatars, and like there's like how many pictures of just group pictures of them like smiling at the camera, like if they were in a school photo shoot or something, you know, that kind of thing. And all of those types of people, those real people, were in that chat, okay? Like, well, not everyone, but most of them. Most of the people, like people that are really popular on YouTube or whatever, and they're subbed. I'm going to get to this in a moment. Like, I'm going to address all of the things about this in a moment, which might be a couple minutes from now. So, after the direct, like, we found, like, they detailed that you could play in a team. It's really crappy. Like, you can only play 4 or by yourself. It's so ridiculous, I know. But given that we were in a server, we could easily, in fact, we were juggling between people. If you take a look at the video, like, I'm playing with like 5 different people overall, but they're being shuffled in and out because like some people had to go, and then when they would leave, some other person who was on would take their place, and like we would play in a team of 4, but like there were several people within that team. And that ended up going on for a while. Like, there was at one point where I was playing with Tina, and then there was one point where I was playing with Poool, and then one point where I wasn't, and then there was like times when Poool came back, etc. Like, you can see all of this in the video. It's not like it's secret or like confidential information or anything like that. But I played with all these people, right? And, like, well, assuming if I were in the place of a fan, that would probably be like, oh my god, that's so amazing, right? Well, this is me, we're talking, and I've had a lot of experience with this, but, like, I played with a lot of those people, right? And then I recorded my gameplay and my point of view of audio. In fact, like, because I was recording it through Elgato, and I don't think Elgato could connect to Discord. And I was also being if it could, I don't really care anyway, because I was conscious that maybe the others might not want their voices on YouTube. I know I myself don't care, given I'm voicing over this very voice track. I'm not averse to having my voice on YouTube, so I just recorded my gameplay with my commentary with the exact setup I'm using to talk to you right now, and I put it up. So, like, what's the problem then? What's the issue? I got a comment on one of those videos. I think it was part 4? The video specifically where I faced Zach Scott. Yeah. Again, this is all in the video. But around the end of the Splatfest, which was like the last hour, we were playing in team, and we encountered Zach Scott's team. We were completely demolished, but in terms of their play, and he actually managed to blindside me with his roller, because I wasn't facing right when he absolutely steamrolled me. Anyway, that's not the point. But it was the part where we played with Zach Scott. Like, I'd already uploaded the 3 previous parts. There were 4 hour-long videos. Again, this is all on my channel. You can very clearly see this. I uploaded these videos, and someone in the community, clearly, because they have a Splatoon Abby, they had a... And they mentioned specifically Poool, and this is leading up to the comment. Oh my god! Like, the comment wasn't exactly worded like this, but they were like, oh my god, you've played with Poool 157? And I'm like, seriously? And then I think back, like, back when I was like, you know, these kinds of people. And that's exactly why I'm making this video. Like, I've taken 10 minutes to get to the point. But this ain't gonna be short. Especially given, like, the past history that I've really had with this kind of thing. So, like, I responded to this person saying, like, yeah, why is that anything important? And then, like, you know, they responded to me saying, when I get a Switch, I'm gonna add you and Poool. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to tell if that friend request was from them or not, if they did send the friend request or if they still haven't. But that kind of message already told me what they really are generally trying to be, and I'm fully aware of the attitude that centers around this. So, let's get into the points. Just in terms of our work, what people make, what people are super, like, what people see when they see you or your username or something, your content. We creators like myself and probably including people that are really famous or like really popular, we don't mind if you enjoy our content. Okay? Let me just make that clear to start off with. We don't care if you enjoy our content. We like it if you enjoy our content. We would like you to be enjoyed by our content. I mean, we make it either for that or as well, maybe, for the process of creating whatever it is that is being created that got the popularity that you enjoy so much, be it a picture or a video or an animation or a modification, so like say an add-on for gmod and SFM on the workshop, etc, etc. Whatever it is, we don't mind if you enjoy it. We really don't. I mean, if there is a person out there that does, I'd absolutely love to know if they exist, because that'd be quite strange. But we don't mind if you enjoy our content, okay? But I'm just going to speak from the perspective of myself now for this. When we receive friend requests on anything, be it Nintendo Switch, any console, any, like on Steam or DeviantArt, or, well, like DeviantArt only has watches, but like, you know, that kind of thing. Well, it does have a friend system too, but it's very minimal. Like, if you want to be friends on these kinds of things, and I've gotten this so many times, like, I believe I've gotten this like 3 or 4 times myself. I can't imagine the amount of times that people like Poool or Blue would get this kind of reason for wanting to be friends. The reason people use that, like, again, this is speaking from me personally, the reason people use that you enjoy, like, that you want to be friends with us, with any creator, because you enjoy their content, however, that kind of comes off as a bit unintentionally nasty in a way, because, like, when we put a piece of content that we make up, when we put, like, ourselves in that kind of content that we make, whatever it may be, like, that's what we want you to see, whatever it is, right? So, to you to just say, like, you've only seen us through that content and you like us because of our work, it kind of comes off as a bit harsh, doesn't it? Like, you don't really care about talking to the person. You just care about them because they've made some things that you really, really like. And I've gotten this a couple times where people on, like, they've said, like, they really enjoy my gmod add-ons, the ones, my texture packs, or if not that, my Roblox add-ons. They really enjoy me making those, and I just think, yeah, okay, I love that you enjoy it. I mean, that's why I made it. But why should that specifically be the only reason to you for wanting to friend me? And it's a problem I see a lot. Now, in terms of experience, like with these kinds of idols, like I myself have talked with a lot of people who have actually like been an idol of mine in the past. So like the whole idea of joining a Discord with all of the gmod SFM animators was literally nothing new to me, given that I've done this sort of thing in the past. There's two specific instances I would like to mention in this sort of context. One on YouTube, and one that was sort of on YouTube, but the other half was on Skype, back when that was a thing. And both had a particular idol that I really that I really, really enjoyed, and I actually played with before I really got started talking with them. Or, well, like in the case of one of them, I didn't really talk with them, but like we sort of had this like mini argument, and then I just sort of left them. So let me just go through that one first. Back in 2011, I believe, 2012, there was a YouTuber, and I believe he's still going, but like he's got a new audience of young kids and whatever. I don't watch him anymore, but like he was a Sonic Let's Player, and I found him, I think, due to his Sonic Generations Let's Play. Like, this was back when Let's Plays were starting to become a thing, but they weren't nearly as massive as they are now. The YouTuber went by the name of Cabana Money 456, and I'm pretty sure maybe like one or two of you might be aware of what I'm talking about. And I used to watch the guy every single day, like no matter what LP, unless it was of a really mature game or whatever, I would watch this guy like every single day whenever he would upload a video. Every day when I came home from school, I would watch this guy, and he would play like a Sonic game, or even not a Sonic game. I believe like during that time he played Super Mario Galaxy 2, I believe. So, I hadn't seen a whole lot of that game aside from maybe advertisements in 2010, because that was back when advertisements were actually on TV, would advertise Nintendo games. Now they just advertise random crap that no one cares about. So anyway, I used to really, really enjoy Cabana Money 456, and in fact, at one point, on one of his live streams, when he was playing with some of his supposed friends, like, the main game, in fact, this was exactly how I obtained Mario Kart 7, because my mother noticed me watching this guy who was Let's Playing that at the time, and he had been playing it for ages. So, and it was a recent release, so I think it was 2011 Christmas when I obtained Mario Kart 7. And afterwards, in one of the live streams, I actually ended up playing against Cabana Money 456. Now, back when I was extremely immature and in the mindset of everyone else when they think, like, oh my god, idols are, like, I'm going to use the word idol in this video because that's basically what the idea is, okay? That should have been made clear. But, like, everyone in that mindset, like, I was in that mindset too. People were thinking, like, oh my gosh, you're playing with the person that you really, really enjoy hanging with and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like, nowadays I'm like, yeah, I did that. I didn't really get any, like, out of it, but I did it and I felt good about it. But, like, I'm not sure. I don't think that's a massive life-changing sentiment. But, like, yeah, I played in one of the live streams, and in fact I have screenshots where I MS painted over where I can be seen in, like, special screenshots or whatever. I don't even know if the video still exists, but it was like an early 2012 live stream of just Mario Kart 7, and we were racing, and, like, that was, like, probably one of the last few things that I really did involving the guy, because, like, It was later that year. It was actually later that year. That was how my Twitter was formed, because I said something. I don't exactly remember what, but he'd said something in one of his videos that really ticked me off, and it ticked him off so much that he blocked me from commenting on his videos. So, like, I was trying, like, after a while, didn't want to stand by that anymore, so I made a Twitter and sent him a couple messages on his new Twitter because I wanted him to unblock me, but, like, he didn't do so I just sort of stopped watching the guy, especially this was given the start of the supposed SMG4 era of my life, SMG4 Starman 3 era, which I'm going to talk about as well. So, like, but yeah, I was really into this guy, and he blocked me. Like, I don't think I'm blocked now, but I don't really care about his content as much, especially given my now formed opinion on LPs. It has nothing to do with his, but it just has to do with the state of how YouTube videos are made in general, and LPs, given their popularity, are a part of that. So yeah, I'm not trying to be a contrarian on purpose. I just have a certain opinion on this that really impacts my view on YouTube videos in general, even though I'm making one myself. So anyway, like, that's one example of an idol that I really cared about that I don't really care about so much anymore. The second example, the biggest example that I can give for this kind of thing in general, especially given that this is kind of like the way I went through with this is the exact same way I approach everything else now, especially the Splatoon community. So, and it's kind of helped cement that. So the SMG4 Starman 3 era, which I've detailed it on, like, all the wikis I've been to, but, like, I started watching SMG4 in, like, late 2012 with a recommendation, back when YouTube's recommendations weren't a completely automated piece of junk. I was recommended The Pink Problem, back when it had, like, the crazy font. I don't know if it still has a crazy font, but whatever. The Pink Problem, and, like, I'd currently, at that point, only really watched YouTube recommendations of a bunch of, like, animations, or, if not animations, like, some kind of compilation of a machinima or something that someone had really made of a game or something. So I was only really watching recommendations of that kind of type. Otherwise, I just wouldn't even care. I wasn't watching LPs anymore. The only real channels I was really subscribed to were, like, Some Call Me Johnny at that point, and a couple of other ones. So, like, they were, like, really minor ones, like music channels and stuff. So, The Pink Problem. I watched it and then, enjoyed it. And then, during browsing SMG4's channel, this was around the time, like, SMG4 had, like, 6,000 subscribers, and he was, like, on par with Starman 3 at the time, who had about the same amount before the massive popularity of SMG4 clearly rose to where it is today. In fact, so much that I'm still hearing about it amongst, like, people in the Splatoon community. So, like, that, like, it's so much of an overlap. It's crazy. Anyway, that's not the point. I watched SMG4, and, one day I was like, one day I want to meet this guy and talk to him. And Starman 3 similarly made, and this was actually more interesting because his were story-centered. Again, this was before I realized the videos were made really crappily and all that. I was, like, super into these videos, right? And I really wanted to meet the people behind them. So, and again, not a lot of people might be aware of even what happened during those years, so I'm just gonna try and phrase it as much as I can, but, like, in a really, hopefully skimmy way. I mean, how short can I make this? I'm already 24 minutes in. So, for the longest time, like, this was back when YouTube descriptions were, like, really important, and his YouTube description had a link to an XSat chat room, like, which is a really old chat website that's somehow still living, but, like, it's on its last knees or whatever. Or it's probably already dead, given like it ran on Adobe Flash and like Flash is dying in like every browser. It was an XAT chat room, which is like a modern example would be Discord, but like it was Flash based and the text was more old fashioned. Like I think there was like Arial and stuff for the font and all that. Like it was a really old kind of IRC chat room thing that we all used. And it took me a while to actually join the XAT chat room because I was too nervous to really do anything. And eventually, like early 2013, I joined the chat room. And the one thing that I told myself that I really needed to do in order to really be respected, and this is something like that people should really follow, like the one thing that I told myself, and I still tell myself to this day, is that you need to talk like a normal person in order to get respected by whoever it is that you're talking to, who, even if they're someone that you really, really look up to. So, like, after a while of talking in this chat room, like, I don't even know if this is, like, record time. It was, like, only a month after I joined that I actually got respected in the so-called community. Like, I joined every day, waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, joining this chat room, and eventually, like, after a while, because I would join in with all the festivities and talk in with everything, I eventually ended up joining the YouTube Rangers. And, like, you know, the history speaks for itself, but, like, being me, I was only, 14 years old at the time? Almost 14. No, I was actually almost 15. I was 14 years old, almost 15, and I was, like, really happy to join the YouTube Rangers, because I'd watched all the videos, I'd watched all of the things, and they were so interesting to me, and I really, really liked it, but I had to keep all of that to myself, because that wouldn't make sense, because if I just liked them for their content alone, that wouldn't be very nice now, would it? Because those were real people who made that thing, whatever that thing was, whatever that video was, and I really wanted to talk to the people as people. So, you know, I talked for a couple months, and everything happened that happened, you know, me finding out the truth that that he sexually role plays with people and pretends to be a Yoshi and whatever. Well, that was actually also around the end, but that's, you know. But the point I guess I'm trying to make is, like, people aren't gonna bend over for you just because you like their content, just because you've liked something that they've really created. They aren't just gonna, well, like, I guess there's an exception in the case of me. Like, if someone is particularly curious how I made something, whatever it is I've made, how I've made a thing, typically I'll answer that kind of response. I don't know how many other people would be willing to do that, but like, we're not in other cases, like just friend requesting saying I like you because you've made this thing. Like, people aren't just gonna be all accepting of that just because the reason is because you like their content. And, like, especially given if most of it is hidden or hardly referenced at all. At the time of this recording, Poool 157, or 157, I just say it 157 because it's easy to roll off the tongue. Poool 157 released an update video explaining that Part 3 of Octoling Innocent was going to be delayed because the SFM session of animating got corrupted and basically deleted everything regarding the animation data in the program. and that the video isn't going to come out on its expected release date. And I was browsing the comments because I was going to expect that there was going to be a whole bunch of people just saying, yeah, don't worry about it, you don't give up, don't let it put you down, all that kind of stuff. Because Poool in the video revealed his voice, which hadn't been a thing at that point, I don't think he really even consciously... he might have, I don't know. He might have considered it, like, as a conscious decision to do so. But, like, beforehand, he hadn't revealed his voice. Although, beforehand, and this is why I say minorly revealed in a small presence, it was a Q&A video from like a couple years back, and one of the comments was asking in that video, are you a boy or a girl? And in the Q&A video, he said he was a boy, right? So, like, because it had such a minor presence and it was so long ago, right? Or, like, not all of the comments, but most of the comments in that video now are literally just kids saying, oh my gosh, you're a boy? Because all they've really seen is what he's wanted them to see, which is the inkling avatar, of which is typically a girl. And, like, it's that kind of ignorance which is why most people who are creators don't really speak a whole lot to you all as much. Like, especially, like, if you don't really care for them as a person and you're, like, only surprised about their gender. Like, in the community in general, this is a really common thing. I'm not gonna name names, but, like, there's a lot of people who put up an inkling avatar of themselves as a girl because the girl inkling has, like, a better design or whatever, or has better hairstyles or whatever, but they themselves are not a girl. And it's really common. You would be surprised at the amount of people who are actually boys but are putting themselves up as girls on their abbeys in every single picture or whatever that they create. I myself don't pretend, because I don't know if you can hear it. Some people might think I'm a dude, but I'm not. But I don't try to pretend that I'm a boy or whatever. The only reason I am is because I make a whole bunch of characters and have to screenshot them, and some of them are boys, so... But I don't try to pretend that I'm not a girl, but I guess the problem is that, like, with so many girls, it's hard to tell who's really being true about it or not. Especially given, like, I'm really a girl, and I'm putting myself out there as a girl because I am a girl. I am. And I'm not trying to lie about that, but others have different reasons for choosing their abbeys, and they might not be true about it. And, you know, that's perfectly fine. People can do whatever they like. But, like, just, like, to be so ignorant, like, look at most of the comments on that video, at least at the point of this video's release, and a lot of them are like, I didn't know you were a boy, or, oh my gosh, you're a boy, or whatever, even though, like, it was already revealed in this Q&A video, right? And, like, it was already revealed, yet the only thing that hadn't been revealed yet was the voice. And it's that kind of ignorance which really speaks a lot about how we really perceive others that only care about people because they've made things that you enjoy. And, like, I've got a few people on my Steam friends list right now, like, who aren't the everyone else who I've talked to who have, like, wanted to add me for some strange reason. Most of the people I've talked to that are I guess, in the position of a fan, those people don't tend to really have a lot of intelligent discussion, just in my opinion, because they usually just say hi and then, like, they don't really say anything. Like, and some of these people had the reason beforehand that they wanted to add me because they liked me for my work. I've even had, like, people who aren't on my friends list now who have come and said to me, I really like your work, I want to add you, but they've never talked, they've never said anything. And I imagine, like, especially given, like, what, my channel now has 1,000 subscribers, which is no small feat, but that was, like, a 7-year ordeal, and I didn't even ask people to subscribe. They just sort of did it over the course of, like, everything I've done, which is, like, this is the hard work of making a channel get up to 1,000 subscribers. Now think about all the meme videos that get, like, heaps of views, and then they just get subscribers by the truckload every day. But, like, it's not easy when you're just being viewed as an idol, and then people just view you as that, and they don't view you as a person as well. And I know what it feels like to enjoy someone's content and to look at them like they're not really a person. Before, I went into chat rooms and acted like an actual person, so then they wouldn't look like, they wouldn't think I'm completely stupid. Because when I would watch Cabana Money's LPs, I would really enjoy the guy because he seemed like a really nice guy, but he was putting out a version of himself onto the internet, and that version of himself might not be the version of him that edits those videos, or that, like, even records those videos. Like, like, I'm not going to say, like, they're all totally stupid. They might all have a dark side. I mean, everyone has a dark side. They might all have a dark side. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, they might act different than what they're putting themselves on the camera. And that's a natural human thing. That's a natural thing to really have. And same thing with Salmon 3, especially given, like, now we know how stupid his behavior is. Well, I know anyway. But I too thought, like, those SM64 polygon things, I mean, I made a whole series before I scrapped it about this kind of thing, for my own, and I know, because it was based on a whole bunch of people doing the same thing, I know that I really enjoyed that kind of thing. Like, how I said that I really wanted to meet SMG4? Well, I did, on Skype, like, a couple times. And in fact, like, he's still my friend on Steam, but I don't think he notices anymore. But I really wanted to meet the dude, and I talked with him a couple times. In fact, like, I gave him, like, a bunch of pointers on, like, a couple of his early videos or something. Not 2012, but, like, it was well after the point that he started using gmod as a black backdrop for literally everything in every video. But, like, I talked with him, and, I talked like a normal person. And, like, during 2016, which was year 12 for both me and him in school, I think at a couple points he did manage to talk with me a few times. Okay? Like normal people, not talking about the videos. Just, like, talking normally. And, like, anyone, if that person were replacing me in that position, that conversation would go a whole lot more differently than if it were me. Because a whole lot of people would probably just talk about how much they enjoy the video or how much they liked this particular moment, but they're not going to talk about anything in terms of the person, like, in terms of how that person really lives their life or whatever. Like, I know what it's like to enjoy people for their content, and, like, to see them as that content, but you really, especially as kids, you really need to learn to distinguish what they're putting out to you and what they're really like behind the scenes making that content, and what they're like when they're not creating that content. Because otherwise it's like a Crazy Sugar Rush fan and you're staring at them like, why are you acting like that? Like, I'm not always like this. Why are you going crazy over nothing, essentially? And, like, especially, like, if we hide certain aspects of ourselves, like, okay, it's not totally hidden, but I'm not going to tell you where I actually posted it. But, for example, I haven't posted in great detail my face on the internet, for example. Right? You can hear my voice, right? But I've never really posted my face on the internet for several reasons that I have explained. Although, don't worry, my face is like, I can count 2 videos where my face is in it on YouTube, but I'm not going to tell you what those 2 videos are, and I'm not going to tell you where to find them, because I don't particularly want you finding them. Like, this ties into the point. I haven't posted my face on YouTube. I haven't really posted it. There are quite a lot of people who do know what I look like, most of those people having been my friends in the past and present. Those people are people that I trusted, and I don't believe they've, like, done anything at the moment. Those people are people that I've trusted, that I can show them my face. That and then there's just the problem that I have a really crappy webcam that my mum got on, like, one Easter in, like, 2012 or something. Or not even 2012, like 2014, I guess. That my mum just got, like, off the shelf, and it was this really tiny thing, and you're supposed to clip it to, like, your computer or whatever. But, like, the clip is too wide for my almost flat screen computer and computer monitor, and, like, the thing has really crappy quality anyway. But, like, even not counting that, I already have a predetermined notion of only showing my face to people I trust, and those people haven't really disappointed me thus far. I don't think my face is on the internet. I also have this sort of deal with my surname as well. My first name I've referenced a couple of times on my Twitter and whatnot, but I haven't really put it up so publicly, not because I don't want people to see it, but because it's just not relevant to my profile. But I have referenced it a few times, especially given, like, it's my Pokemon name, so, like, if you're gonna trade with me or whatever, especially given, like, Pokemon Switch is gonna be a thing, like, my Pokemon name or whatever, you're going to see it, so, it shouldn't be a secret anyway. But, like, my surname, I haven't told anyone on the internet except for, like, one person, but I don't really care about that person anymore, and they aren't really popular enough to really impact anything. But no one really knows my surname either. And, like, I'm not willing to display that publicly, like, as if, like, you know, how I'm so, preferable to showing off my Inkling avatar, or my username, or my first name, or anything else that I'm preferable in showing off, compared to those other things. And, like, if you were to find out, or if you were going to ask me, if, like, be a complete stalker, I just wouldn't, because you like my content or something, and you think I'm close enough, and probably might not be a problem for, like, say, myself, but, like, if it was someone else who is more popular or something, that wouldn't necessarily, like, because, like, if you think you have full privileges with a person because you like their content, especially given the whole thing, like, people are friending me because they like my content and they don't explain any other reason, that's not necessarily a good thing. Because it makes you come off as a stalker if it is for, like, say that reason. But, like, to think, like, you as a fan, as a person that you, like, as the receiver of the content, you think you have full privileges to the person behind the content. That's not really very, nice. And this can be applied really to anyone in any community. Anyone who is a creator will be like this. If you created content and you got popular, you would do the same thing. Because it's just a natural thing. After a while, you get sick of the constant attention that you only get by your content. Therefore, people only see you as that content. Like me joining the Discord server. I wasn't going to go crazy over there being about like 15 or so of the animators in the so-called group pictures of the community, because I'm aware that they're actual people and they have actual lives behind whenever they create their content or not. They have actual lives, they have actual things to do. So I'm not just going to bombard them about their content that they've created because I like it. I'm sure they enjoy that I like it, but I don't need to make it completely aware to them or make it be my only reason for coming into contact with them in the first place. And like, I wasn't really joining just because I wanted to talk with them. They just sort of were there after I joined the Discord server, and then I just took it from there. If it were, like, say, some other random that Sky had asked to join the server for some weird reason, like, I'm pretty sure a whole lot of that would have gone a whole lot more differently. Like, you know, and later on, you know, things happened with the server, and I'm not going to discuss them. That's not the point. And, like, even amongst a couple of the people that I talked to, although that's more so issues with myself and how I communicate rather than just seeing them as an idol. And, like, to give a really almost out of context example, like, there was a story I was recommended. It was on DeviantArt, and someone had made this fanfic, and I was being recommended this because they'd mentioned my name in the description of the journal post, which, because so few people use DeviantArt, I'll help clarify. Like, a journal post, you can write a whole bunch of text in it, and when the site has a special kind of coding system where if you type in between colons, like using the colons like they're brackets, if you type in between colons like icon and then the username of the person you're referencing it to, you're mentioning that person, so that person will get a message, a notification in their messages that will say this, that you were mentioned in this journal post or this status post or this picture, anything. You can be referenced in literally anything and you will be sent a message about it, right? So someone had written this fanfic, right? And it was a particularly kind of unrealistic kind of fanfic. It was a Splatoon fanfiction. Like, this kid was probably like really young or had only hung around the community and like had the mindset of like an animator, like receiving content animator kind of logic, where they like see the content and they think the people are that content kind of thing, right? So they made this fanfic based upon like 3 or so videos they've seen of someone's really famous videos, right? And like during the story, like, I skimmed over this because the formatting of it was so ridiculous, I'm not going to go into super detail. They went like, the story was about, like, a bunch of people visiting this, friend's house, all in Splatoon Navi form, and, like, because that friend was holding a party, and, like, after a while, like, the problem occurs, and for some reason, all of the vegetables in the vegetable garden, because, like, you know, they had to prepare a whole bunch of food for the event, all the vegetables get stolen because they're, like, being pulled through the ground, and, like, they go down and stop the occurrence from happening and all that, and, like, all the famous idols come along and do stuff because fanfiction. Right? And then, at the very, very end, like, it's, like, revealed that the vegetables can't be recovered because they were stolen and they were too late to stop them and all that kind of stuff. And then, like, Callie and Marie, the two Splatoon idols, show up out of nowhere and bring back the vegetables and say, we found out about your party and we really wanted to join. We portraying them as if they were the so-called friends in the story, right? Now, of course, Callie and Marie are fictional, but the point can still apply, especially given, like, the fanfic also inserted, like, a whole bunch of famous Splatoon idols, like Spider, Poool, Blue, in the story part where they're fighting the bad guys or whatever. But, like, I don't know if many people are like this. Many people might be, but people that are creators aren't going to actively search out fan events. They're not actively going to search out for you. And especially, like, they're not going to specifically, on a dime, pretend to want to be with you in whatever event it is. Because I'm pretty sure people can make their own decisions on what they want to do, and that might not reflect how they act when they release whatever content it may be. And I'm using Callie and Marie as an example because the fanfic brought about an unrealistic expectation that, especially given it was even written in the first place, that many people probably have in their minds, given anyone who creates content, not like idols like Callie and Marie, but like Poool or Blue or Spider or Heavy or anyone. They would similarly that would probably be similarly unrealistic if they were in the position of Callie and Marie in that story. It's just extremely silly, like, to think that a person is entirely what their content is, and that because you like that person's content for that content, that is all they are. Because that's a bit demeaning, and that's a bit unrealistic. Okay? So, and like, if you want to just know the ending of the story, the party supposedly happened, and like there was like a giant list of all the names they could list off in the community of the people that they had. And, like, that's where my mention came from, because I happened to end up in that list. And one scene in the beginning that was referenced off of a Geoff Craze 634 video that he'd made off of Inkling Avatar for some reason. But yeah. Like, and then, like, it's not just reference to, like, fanfics, but, like, people can do what they like, but I see a lot of this in the community, especially given, like, this was an SM64 thing, too, where people would people place themselves and the idol, the person that they revere, as if, like, they're best friends and on equal footing and they completely know each other without really talking to that person, probably because they haven't they haven't got a high sub amount, or they haven't really spoken to them, but they just sort of characterize them based on what they've seen in those videos and what they themselves would say if they were responding to an individual that actually was like that. And like, this was a thing in both the SM64 community and the Splatoon community now, where in the SM64 community, people would make really basic videos where they, and I did this briefly for like one video, I believe, where they would put their supposed idol at the door of the SM64 castle, and they themselves would be standing there, and they would have a conversation from like across the hallway of a basic conversation without really knowing what that person is like. I saw like a couple of videos, because the big names in the community, aside from SMG4, which people would have to make color codes of before he literally pasted it in his description, and it's not even a full one anyway, so it's completely broken. The videos people would make would just involve themselves with fake SMG4, Starman 3, or Mario 54321, and they would just talk, they would talk about the videos or whatever, or about an adventure that they had in these supposed videos that they made, without really thinking like, this isn't really realistic. This isn't really what would happen. I mean, I know people can do what they want. That guy made the fanfic about Callie and Marie randomly joining a party out of nowhere, and it would happen. But like, people have these expectations, and I think like some of it really needs to be toned down. And in the Splatoon community too, people do this kind of thing as well. Not just in animations, which are noticeably fewer because they take a lot of time to create, but people also in pictures, because those take less, on a longer scale, lesser time to create, because it's only a frame rather than individual frames of an animation, whatever. People still continue to place themselves next to their idols in pictures, like me with Spider 225, or me with Poool 157, or not even just that, like sometimes when people just pretend like they have their inkling with the same eye color and the same skin, but their hair color, their gear, their weapon is the same as whomever, the typical Atia of whomever it is that is their idol, like Poool 157 with the Octo T, the boots, and the slosher and the headphones, and like this can extend to Blue, to Spider, to anyone. And like, I'm not gonna stop people from doing that. That's just like, people can do whatever they like. They can pretend that they're cosplaying as Poool, or that they're meeting Starman 3 or Mario or whatever. But to have these expectations that whatever they've put out as content is who they really are when you speak to them or when you see them or whatever, it's just a really unrealistic expectation to have. And when I see those kinds of things, that's generally what I tend to think, that these people will see it that way. And maybe in some cases I might not be able to stop that, but I can say something and at least affect a few people to hopefully think differently, because it's just kind of really stupid to believe that like what people put out is who they are, and like acting like as if being just a fan will completely impress them is just not really realistic to have. Now, this is going on for ages, so the last point I want to make is like, it's just, I mean, anyone kind of has this sort of unconscious little feeling that extends to like everyone, no matter if you're a creator or a fan. Like anyone can act different when a camera is pointed at them and that whatever's on the camera will be seen elsewhere. There's a reason photo or camera shyness exists. Like, my own mother is like really camera shy. Whenever someone asks for a photo, she's like, no, I don't want it unless it's like absolutely necessary for some reason. She just doesn't like. She's so camera shy to the point that she's so utterly paranoid about my webcam on my laptop for some reason, to the point where she pastes a sticky note over it every single time in the fear that like a hacker's gonna come and see her face for some reason. Alright? That's one example. And when like people record a video of like, well, like if the video is just between friends or whatever, they'll probably act like how they do normally, but it'll be a bit more like structured, like whatever it is they're saying, in comparison to if they were just saying it off screen, or like if they were just rambling about whatever. Like a couple of my friends in real life, we were at a sleepover once. It was one of my friends' birthdays, and it was really long ago. We recorded this video between ourselves of just one of our friends acting really kind of silly, you know, silly in the case that we enjoy it, acting really silly, and she was like wearing this crazy outfit. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I'm pretty sure the one who's watching or listening will know what I'm talking about. And that video was between us, but the way it was structured was, well, from the video point of view anyway, a bit more structured than when we were doing the same skit off camera, and like, you know, not really paying attention to like, you know, if it was going to be a video or not, right? Like, that video is just between ourselves. It's on my friend's phone, but old phone, but like, you know, like, it's another example. And then like me recording any video I've made, anyone recording any video they've made. Like, the point I'm trying to make, it's in human nature. If you have a camera pointed at you, you're going to act differently, even if it is a slight alteration of whomever it is that you are off screen, because you know there is a camera being pointed at you and that you're being recorded or that you're being photographed or something. Because you know you are being recorded, you are going to act even the slightest bit differently than if you're having a casual conversation off screen with anyone, regardless. And it's a completely normal thing, and it extends to all forms of media, that you are going to be slightly different when you put yourself out there in comparison to when you're on your own. Even just extending that to social interaction. Me around my friends in real life, I act a whole lot differently towards them. I act a whole lot differently to you than if I were completely alone and to myself. Like, I talk with my friends about whatever they want to talk about. I'll still be shy or whatever. I'll still maybe not talk as much, but I'm still going to act differently than if I was completely alone. And even now while I'm recording, I'm not going to act the same way as I am here while talking to you, as if I was not recording this and if I was just playing, say, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on my Wii. Yeah, I still do that. But that's a normal thing. That is a normal thing, and that like that extends to everyone online as well. And I don't think a whole lot of, especially kids, people get this, because like they might not be aware of it. Like when you record, like say a tiny video to yourself of whatever it is that's occurring on your phone or whatever, you might be laughing and giggling and whatever, but you're gonna act different because you've pressed that button in comparison to when you haven't pressed that button and you're just sitting by yourself browsing your creators' favorite videos or whatever. But like, if you're aware of that, you should be aware that like, since creators do the same thing, creators act like they're not, like they're different on camera, or that they're different when creating their content. So it's like a couple of different layers of who they really are, and to act all surprised. I mean, like, okay, you can be surprised, like in the case of the Poool video, like, oh, I didn't know you were a boy because I didn't take a look at that one video from like a year ago. But like, to think like this is a completely new radical discovery, it like, or to act super ridiculous about it, it's not. It's just another thing that they're willing to reveal, and it's just another thing that's just gonna be a part of who they are. It's nothing to be super surprised about. It's nothing to be absolutely crazy about. I mean, you can like it, you can like that aspect of them, that's great, or not like it, and you know, whatever goes. But to act really immature about it, like just to be the fan, is just, I mean, it sounds really silly, doesn't it? I mean, if you're just, it's like, if you're just thinking about it, like, just think like, you just put your voice out on the internet for the first time, and like, you're a super famous person, and the only, like, the message you're trying to portray, like Poool was saying in the video, like, oh, part 3 is going to be delayed, I'm so sorry, I hope you can wait it out a bit longer, like, and then the only thing that, well, not, it's not the only thing, I'm being a bit exaggerative there, but like, and then for like most of the comments to just be, oh my gosh, your voice, you're actually a boy, like, you're a fan, that's great, you're a fan, you didn't know they were a boy, that's great, okay? We're not gonna put you like totally stupid because you didn't know, or you didn't check out a video from a year ago that said that. But to act like it's some major discovery, or like that you should only comment that, or not like, crap, your session got deleted, basically, I feel so sorry. In fact, I actually like said that. I actually posed a question, and then I was like, God, that sucks, in reaction to the video. And, like, some of these comments were only, my gosh, are you a boy? Instead of the message. And, like, that's a bit, like, for you to ignore the message that he's trying to portray just because he revealed his voice so he could actually properly articulate his problem with the SFM session, and then for you to just completely ignore that and go, hey, oh my gosh, you're a dude. That's not real very nice, isn't it? Even if you're a fan, even if you really enjoy his work, even if you're gonna wait the extra month or 4 months or a year, it won't be a year, but you know, it to wait however long to see part 3, and then you just, like, the only thing you've said is like, oh my gosh, you're a dude, as if it's some major discovery, like, it, like, you think you have these equal privileges just because that he's putting another part of himself out there. That's not really a nice attitude to have, and you really need to temper your expectations in regards to this sort of thing. Anyway, that's the end of that part. So what okay, I'm just, that's the end of the part of the video, but I'm just gonna briefly detail what I'm doing with YouTube, I guess, because this is a YouTube video, and I might as well tell you, if you're even still listening up to this point. I haven't totally given up on YouTube. I'm just making random things on the side. I've got 1,000 subscribers now. I don't know how I ended up with 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Seriously, I didn't even think, like, me in 2011 making this YouTube channel, I did not think that I would end up having 1,000 people subscribe. I wouldn't even think. Like, I made it an Inspect Element edit back when I was Inspect Element editing my YouTube channel for just the lols, and now it's actually a thing. Like, I don't mean to sound like a broken record like every other YouTuber, but please, thank you. Thank you for subscribing and enjoying the content, okay? Now, in terms of videos, I don't have like a schedule or whatever of whatever video I make. Whatever just comes to mind, like the video I made recently with the text-to-speech lyrics of the Splatoon Idol songs. That just sort of popped into my head one day, and I thought I needed to do that, so I just did it, and I hope, like, you enjoy it or whatever, and everything else that I've made, including all the Star Road stuff, which is probably where most of it came from. But, yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not totally inactive, I'm not gonna totally stop making YouTube videos, but I'm just not actively making them. I'm just gonna make whatever I feel like, whenever I feel like, and yeah, that'll be a thing. See, I hope you get by this end message what you should have listened to for the rest of the video, right? Anyway. See y'all, have a good day, peace, and I'll see you in whatever video I make next. Go back and watch that video, please. Actually don't, because that'll be nasty.